On track, he's been audacious, daring and fast, while off track, he's been witty, animated, and has occasionally used very colourful language. In short, Yuki Tsunoda is a very welcome addition to Formula One this year, and I'm delighted to say he's my guest this week. Welcome to Beyond the Grid with me, Tom Clarkson. Yuki's hit the ground running in his rookie season with AlphaTauri. He scored points in his first race in Bahrain, and he's been fast and pushed the limit of performance everywhere he's gone. There have been some mesmerising overtakes where he's sent it down the inside of experienced rivals with seemingly carefree abandon, all of which has earned him the praise of Formula One's Director of Motorsport, Ross Brawn. But it hasn't all been plain sailing. There have been moments when he's pushed too hard. His crash during qualifying at Imola was his most painful faux pas, and there was that ding in practice at Monaco last weekend as well. All part of the learning process, you could say. But each mistake no doubt comes with some tough words from Helmut Marko. Which brings us on to Yuki's language. Let's just say he's an emotional guy when he's driving the car. The airwaves sometimes turn blue, much to the surprise of TV directors around the world. But the language does at least prove his desire to succeed. He really wants this, badly. But take him out of the cockpit and he's both engaging and amusing. He has plenty of interests away from motorsport, and his passion for food has become a bit of a thing. When asked in Spain what he loved about Formula One the most, he said it was the food in the motorhomes. We talk about all of this and more, including his relationship with the other drivers on the grid, and he doesn't disappoint. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Yuki, it is lovely to have you on the show. I feel this should be Formula One's cooking podcast after all the chat we've had in the press conferences recently. I know you've just had lunch, so go on, flatter me. What have you had for lunch?
I have lunch. It's like I had in the Honda Hospitality. It was Japanese food actually. Called like a natto. I think I told you in the press conference as well. The natto is like beans, but it's really sticky. But I don't think most of other countries people don't like much this one because it's really sticky and a little bit stinky.
Stinky? You're not selling it well.
It smells stink. Just tiny bit stinks when you smell first time. But for me, it's really good. It doesn't smell much, but I think it's really good. And put on the rice and we eat together.
Yuki, for all of your fans out there, we're obviously going to come on to racing in a minute, but where's this passion for food and cooking and where does it all come from?
I think from Japan, like Japanese culture. Especially I came to Europe. When I came to Europe 2019 first time, I realized that Japanese culture, especially food, is really amazing. And yeah, even 2019, I didn't have any of experience of cooking until living by myself. So I started to challenge into cooking by myself for Japanese food because I miss really Japanese food at that time. So and it's hard to find Japanese food restaurant in Switzerland. I was living in Switzerland in 2019. So since from there, I really like cooking and also like food, especially start watching like a chef movie or how to make this food with a YouTube or like that. So yeah.
Brilliant. But now you're living in the UK.
I live in the UK.
In Milton Keynes.
Yep.
So there's a few more Japanese restaurants around there, I guess.
Yes, I think there's few Japanese restaurants, but currently like this situation, I couldn't go to this place and eat, just having a delivery. But well, compared to like a Honda Hospitality, it's okay. To be honest, like I can't eat every day for that. So normally I really love to eat every day, but I couldn't eat. It tastes still similar to Japanese food, but a little bit different. Yeah, so...
Yuki, it's brilliant. Brilliant. I love your passion for food. Now, look, let's talk about your passion for Formula One. 5 races in, how much are you enjoying it?
I'm really enjoying especially almost every tracks. Like, for example, Portugal, Monaco, here. It's a couple of new tracks. And also in the future, for example, Azerbaijan or a lot of tracks going to be new. So as a driver, it's always feeling amazing and exciting to drive the new track and experience new things. Especially like New Monaco, I realized really amazing track, like a lot of up and down. I just drove in the Formula One game, but it's even compared to that, it's a little bit different, especially how the bank is, or like fit, like the view.
That's an interesting thing, Yuki, because I can't think of many drivers whose first experience of Monaco is in a Formula One car. It must be a lot to get your head around.
Yeah, it was really quick actually. Doing the first lap, push lap. Feeling is really fast, especially driving Formula One, like really narrow track. And like first, I couldn't follow with my eyes. Like I just feels like, how to say it, like have to really back off to not to crash. But actually, Formula One has a lot of downforce, so it just still can manage with a lot of downforce and grip. So yeah, even now, like FP2, I went to a little bit wall, but until that, like I was pushing hard and quite fast speed, and still the Formula One can make with that speed and without any of oversteer like that. So it's incredible.
You say you're pushing hard, but with the barriers so close, are you leaving any margin?
I think I need to.
Is that what Helmut told you after FP2?
Actually, this morning.
Did he tell you this morning?
That's why a little bit to feel.
Just for people listening who didn't know, you had a little ding with the barriers at the end of FP2, and Helmut did actually say to the media, "I told Yuki to keep it out of the barrier."
Yeah, actually, yeah. 100%. I was also aiming to not crash in until free practice 3, especially in free practice. Is really need a good mileage, good track time, good confidence through this to
but
qualifying.
Equally, Yuki, if you're not pushing, if you're not near the limit, you're nowhere in Formula One, aren't you? So it's a really fine balance.
Exactly. I think it starts pushing, feel until that like starts to get used to this track, and feel like I know almost this limit in this track. So starts a little bit pushing, that makes a little bit went to the wall. So it's rich and need a good finding, but I think for the moment, especially like Monaco, it's need a good mileage, especially track time, to build it up the confidence. So I think I shouldn't do that in free practice too. Yeah.
But looking at the bigger picture of Formula One, what has surprised you about it?
I said already, the food in the hospitality, like
the quality of it.
Yeah, quality of the food. Others Formula One.
Let's talk about the cars for a second. What has surprised you about the cars?
I think switches. I think many of the things you can control in the steering, like at the same time, like even until Formula 2, even you have like something big issue at the car, like for example, like a lot of oversteer or understeer in the corners, you have to finish the session or you have to go to the pit, adjust. Like takes a lot of times to adjust and go back to the track. But Formula One, you can do almost in just one steering, change the switches. If you have oversteer, you just have to put the switches to make it a little bit more stable. You can just try and fit every corners, and you can also in the qualifying lap, every corners you just change the switches that you want to have for the car balance. And it's not just about your driving. Also, you can change with the car setups and the one you want. And I think overall, the driver performance is, feel the car as much as possible, change the switches, and make the car faster as soon as possible, and develop the car with the team. So I think, the switches for me is an incredible thing, I think.
And is it second nature? Do you have to think about what button to press, or is it all completely natural?
For me, now it's natural. But like first time I drove last year in Imola, I have to really look down first my steering, and I have to really back off the throttle and see what button is what, and make sure this spot I'm changing the right position. Every lap time was very inconsistent, especially race run. So now I get used to it. I can just, even Monaco, it's really, really hard to like adjust switches because it's really short straight. So, but even now I can quite smoothly. So now I'm get quite used to it.
And what about the actual performance? Did it take you long to get used to the power, the downforce, the brakes?
Yeah, I think for me still, I'm not feeling like fully controlling the car still. But up to go, like for example, 80% or 70%, it was not too difficult. Just like you have more downforce, so you can just have more confidence to go and send it to the car. When Formula 2, you have really heavy car, as it's more unstable, like more unstable in entry especially. So you can feel it more in the car, but just Formula One, if you go above the limit, like you just have snap and go to barrier. So until you find the limit, it's not too difficult, but just it's hard to find the final like 99 or 100% limit. Yeah, without any, for example, crash or like something spin.
So when you look at your teammate Pierre Gasly's data, for example, is there one particular area where he's very impressive?
He's really strong at like quality one lap. Yeah, he just put all together every time in qualifying. He don't have much mistakes in qualifying. For me, until free practice is okay, but just qualifying, I'm impressed, especially like wind. I think wind usage. He used quite a lot good. He used a lot in wind usage. Like for example, he adapted quite well to the wind. For example, like in free practice 3, you have tailwind to this corner, and qualifying you have complete opposite headwind. If you have headwind, you have to more send the car because you have more headwind, so you have more downforce. But I just can still not using maximum performance for wind effect. So even having a headwind, still I'm breaking same point as a when tailwind. So I think and he adapt well every single session, and in qualifying especially he put all together. So I think wind usage he using quite good. He's good at the wind usage. I think, yeah.
I guess a lot of that's experience as well, isn't it? I look back at this year and I think of the Bahrain test where you went very well, and then of course points in your first race. It was a dream start, wasn't it? And do you think that first race raised expectations too high, both people out from the outside looking in, but also for you yourself?
Yeah, to be honest, yes, I think especially from Bahrain, I went really good. Even like having mistakes in qualifying Q2 and dropped to Q2, but still went well and I got a points in the first race. So I think from there, especially I aim quite high. Well, expectation as future, especially Imola. The next race was Imola, and I was even like aiming like top 5 or like that. So I think that makes for sure I was aiming to high, and qualifying I tried to put like amazing lap, like dream lap, and especially in Q1 you don't have to do like that kind of stuff in Q1, but just like my adrenaline and the motivation was like that, and went to the wall. So I think in the beginning of the year I was really expecting high, and I was aiming too high, I think.
So you've had to throttle back a bit, almost take one step back to go 2 steps forward. I was running the track in Imola on the Saturday night.
Oh, really?
And I found some of your bodywork, bit of the engine cover. And I was thinking, I can put this on eBay. I can make a few quid here. But actually, when you're running, and it was just too big a bit. But it's funny, they just hidden this bit of bodywork in the tyre wall. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but there you go. Yuki, tell us a little bit about the emotions that go on inside the cockpit, because you come across as quite emotional over the radio. Where does that come from? Because sitting here now and everything I've seen of you outside of the car, you're very calm.
Yeah, even me, I don't know why like I get to heating up especially I really like to do lap by myself, maybe naturally, like even like I don't want to have something disturb in my push lap, especially if I having quite good lap. I think most of the drivers have same feeling, but just it's I think controlling myself is now the main topic for me, and 100%, and especially Barcelona, I was like fully out of control. Like I don't know why, but I just pressed the radio.
Like, come on, I got traffic. Nice paradise, like traffic paradise. What is this one?
I don't have to, but I just press the radio with I don't know why, but just shout at them. So this is definitely my weak point, and I have to really a little bit improve of this one, radio communication. And from there try to, I think it was getting better for radio thing, but I think can be more better. So
I mean, you get on with your race engineer, don't you?
Yeah.
There's no issues there that we need to get out in the open.
Yeah, I think radio communication is the most important thing for Formula One, especially. So there's no points to shout. And in the radio, if you want to have something advice from them, you just have to really calm and tell what issue now and what's the limitation for the car now, and with the calm, and they're gonna support us. But if you just shout, they can't do anything, you know. So I think radio thing is my main topic for now.
Can we talk about some of your bosses, really? I was going to say some of the people you work with, but your bosses specifically. I mean, Franz Tost, what did he say after Imola, for example? Did he put a comforting arm around you, or what's his style?
He's really calm, and he's always, I think, support drivers. Especially he's already in Formula One career, like long years, and he was looking at lots of drivers, especially rookie, and he shared that experience from also the past, what they have in young drivers and what they do. Also, especially for example, he knows Sebastian Vettel well, and he saw directly that how he managed to be a successful driver. So he don't force me to like do like this or like this. Just try to he say me the advice thing. Even like after Imola, he just laugh at me, like not like a bad way, like just shit happens. Like, oh, I think you pushed too much and like that. And he didn't say like what did he do, like what you say, like his mistakes. And even like after Barcelona, what I was saying, radio, it was really bad thing. Even he said like you don't have to worry about radio, just anything. Just radio is almost nothing. So just have to, you just focus to driving and talk to engine. What was the issue, and you have to make the car the what you want. So he's really, for me, is kind, and he's also sometimes be strict, but it's in a good way.
Strict in what way though?
For example, like training, like. I think he likes really training.
Well, he's a really good runner.
He's a really good runner.
I did the Wings for Life lap in Barcelona.
Yeah.
He passed me.
Yeah. He's incredible.
Franz Tost, stage 65. But I did get him later on in the lap, mind you. I'm just going to get that out for the record.
Yeah,
but, he's really, really fit, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw his Bahrain. I think he arrived in the morning like at 6 o'clock, and he went hotel and changed his clothes and run in the beach like 1.5 hours and go to the gym session again. Like he spent like almost 3 or 4 hours. He's almost athlete. Like he's definitely athlete now. And
so he's really strict in the way he said, "Yuki, where were you? I was in the gym."
Yeah, exactly. So he know how to make a driver good. And I think he's one of, I would say, like managing the driver, not just the team boss. It's like how he tried to manage the mentality, manage the driver. So I think he's a really good team boss. I think for me he's really not just a team boss, like he's like kind of, how do you say, like partner
or a mentor almost.
Yeah.
Now look, what about Helmut Marko? How would you describe your relationship with him?
He's really opposite compared to Franz. He's more horsey, especially like Monaco. I completely agree with that. But just I said what I said to you, and he said, he don't crash in Formula 3 practice 1 and 2, and I did it. So he was not happy about that, of course, and he pushed hard, I think, for drivers. I know him from like 2019. We worked together, and he was always like that, even Formula 2 like that. And especially beginning of the year, I was having really a difficult season in Formula 2, and he was pushing with like now, even like, for example, Formula 2, I was aiming to get a super license point. And to get super license point, I need the 4th position in the driver championship. And the beginning of the year, I was not, almost like impossible. Like I was nowhere, like B12 or 13, and he was not happy and get a super license point or else you can imagine like that. So it's a bit scary, but sometimes we talk not just the racing, just about other things.
Can you remember the first time you met Helmut?
I think it was Suzuka in 2018, I think, in Formula 1 race week. I went paddock and met him with a Christian Horner.
So you were racing in Japanese Formula 4 at the time? Very much a Honda man, and that's when the Red Bull opportunity started.
Actually, first time Hungaroring in 2018 when I was doing Formula 4 in I think I was July. And why I went there, because of Honda was testing me to decide they send the Yuki to Europe. It's like a kind of test, like how much I have potential. So I went to Hungary to do Formula 3 test with the motor park. And at that point, there just was not anything story with the Red Bull. Also, some of the Honda driver management comes to Hungary to see my performance. And I was in 3 days. And on Formula 3, I just drove before that like almost 2 days or a day. And there was like a lot of Red Bull junior drivers as well. Like, for example, like now Dennis Hager, like also Dan Ticktum when he was leading the championship at that time in Formula 3.
How did you get on against those guys?
Dan Ticktum, he came in last day. And until second day, I was competing with Dennis Hager or Jake Duhan. I was basically beating them almost all session. And yeah, I just drove, until that 2 days or a day. So I was already like my arms or my physical was really almost fucked up. Like I resting a lot between the session. But just, I was beating them. Last day that Dan Ticktum came, we were really close. Like sometimes I win and sometimes he wins. Like even I win and he wins like always in between 1/10. And I think Motorpark team manager, I think Timo Lampwell, he showed a report or something like that to Helmut because there was Red Bull Juniors. And I think that time Helmut found me first time in the paper, like, who is this guy that beating our Red Bull Juniors? And I think Helmut called the Honda after that and asked how many times Yuki does Formula 3 testing before the Hungarian. And I think I was doing just 2 days or a day like that. Until that, I was just driving Formula 4. So I think I'm impressed about that my performance. And next year became Formula 3 Red Bull Junior driver. So
people fighting over you. Honda, Red Bull. Tell me why you love racing. Is it the competition or is it the driving itself?
For me, it's driving by myself. So of course I like to compete, but always, I really like to drive by myself. For example, that's why I really like to drive P1 always, because there's no any cars in front of me ruining my downforce. I just can drive, with free air and drive what I want to. If I'm driving behind the car, I have to really think about the downforce level, dirty air like that. I can't drive what I want to. But if I'm in P1, I can drive what I want to. I like to drive by myself, I think.
It's the pleasure of driving.
I think, yeah.
And has that always been the case from the moment you first drove a go-kart?
I think...
Can you remember that time?
To be honest, no. Not much, but...
How old? I think, did I read you were, 4?
Yeah, 4.
When you first drove a go-kart.
Yeah.
Can you there must be a story there, Yuki. How did that come about?
My father was doing kind of motorsport, something like that.
What was Dad? Was he a driver? Or?
He was drivers. Like he was in kind of motorsport.
What kind of motorsport?
Like normal car, and he just competed with a lap time with others. He not just race, just lap time.
Almost like a rally stage.
Like kind of rally stage with a normal tire. Like a little bit racy tire and
I was hoping you were going to say he was one of the drift kings. Isn't
Not
drifting? Isn't that it's big in Japan, isn't it?
It's really big in Japan. Yeah, not like that, but just he knows kind of was a sport. But
so Dad was doing it just for fun.
Or he was quite also kind of professional.
Okay,
not famous, but he was quite professional. He was doing quite a lot of things, but we saw go-karting track when we were driving highway. We were in the highway. And Dad took me to there just for fun, for driving go-karting. And also I did motorcycle as well. I think at the time I said I really want to do go-karting. I don't really remember, but my dad said like that. And we start go-karting.
Speaking as a father, if you had a choice, you'd probably direct your son or daughter, for that matter, towards go-karting rather than mini-moto, I guess. And then just tell us about the journey from there to that meeting with Helmut Marko. So I know that you did a bit of karting, then there was a lot of Formula 4. And at what point did Honda come on the radar?
Honda was, I think, 2016. So when I was doing like go-karting was really like highest level of the car in Japan. And next level is Formula, Formula 4. So to do Formula 4, it's quite expensive, It's not easy to drive racing with our money. So Honda does a junior program, and if you became junior drivers, they support to be until professional if you're good with the money as well. So we decided to join the Honda. Also, Honda does Formula One. So of course it's not a big chance, but still there's a potential, a little bit chance to I might have to go from Europe and
That's
race for
interesting.
Formula
So you
One.
were thinking about that even a tiny bit back then.
Yeah, but I was not thinking too much because it was completely different world. So first, I just decided to test to become Honda junior driver. They're doing 1 year testing with a lot of drivers. And if you're in P1 or until P3 or P1 or P2, you can be for Honda junior drivers. And yeah, I became Honda junior drivers.
Where did all the testing take place? At Suzuka?
Suzuka, yeah.
So you know that track well?
I know a lot of I drove already more than 1,000 or 5,000 laps, I think. So I know well there. So I'm really looking forward to drive it this year. Yeah. So yeah, so from there and drive from Formula 4 with Honda, and I got a chance to go to Europe with testing Team Motor Park in Hungary. So yes. So from there, Formula 3 in 2019, 2020 in Formula 1. So
yeah. And how difficult has it been for you living in Europe?
It was not too difficult.
How much have you missed home?
I was not missing home much. I'm not I'm quite good at that. So I'm quite strong at that to not missing home, but I miss more food and Japanese food. That's why I just tried to study how to make Japanese food by myself in 2019 when I was in Switzerland. So.
And do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have a younger sister.
Has she been over to stay? She wants to try some of your cooking? Does she? I'm just interested that I know a lot of Europeans who have raced in Japan and they suffer from homesickness quite a lot. So it's interesting to hear that you going the other way, you've been able to deal with it. Okay.
I was doing okay. I like to really living by myself, chilling by myself with own private room. So I was doing okay, I think. There was also a trainer helps me a lot for that kind of stuff. So I was not just by myself in the country. I just with the trainer and do something, couple of fun activities or training there. So
Yuki, Trevor Carlin, who you raced for, will say that you maybe spent too much time hanging out with the mechanics because I want to talk about your language.
Yeah.
I noticed there's been a couple of swear words while we've been chatting now. Are you even aware that you're swearing in English? Did they even tell you these were swear words? Because Trevor says that you learnt all the bad stuff from his boys.
Okay. Well, yeah, I like bad words. So I had a really good relationship with the Carlin mechanics, also with the engineers. They're sometimes using some bad words, and I learned from there. And I was using bad words for joke, and I was having fun, and I think I was sitting well for that one. But yeah, soon as I realized when I came to Europe, just started naturally using that bad words, even I was not trying to say, because I was using too much bad words. So
now look, here's the thing: how much do Japanese people swear in conversation?
Japanese don't swear much, I think.
I mean, imagine, Yuki, that you and I are walking through a park in Tokyo, perhaps the Shinjuku Gaien. How much would we hear people walking alongside us swearing?
I think most of Japanese won't swear much. Yeah, they're quite respectful. I don't know why, but I think I'm ruining the Japanese image. So I'm breaking the Japanese image. So I'm not good at that, but I think most of Japanese don't swear much. Well, same age as me, same generation as me. They swear a lot with their friends, but with other people, they won't swear much.
What do mum and dad think of it?
I don't know.
Now, look, I mentioned Tokyo because you come from a suburb, don't you, of Tokyo, one of the greatest cities in the world. Always try and go there on my way to Suzuka. But for those people who have yet to visit, can you tell them where they should go? What's great about Tokyo?
Tokyo, I think Shinjuku or a lot of building or Tokyo Tower, whatever. It's like like New York or like London. There's a lot of shopping are there, and I think it's really clean, and there's a lot of culture. Like if you go to Harajuku, there's also you can see like Japanese comic like anime, and if you go to not about just Tokyo, like for example Kyoto or like Hiroshima or Hokkaido, you can see a really Japanese traditional building, and also you can eat really Japanese food a lot, not just like sushi or like a lot of traditional Japanese food there. So,
Have you been to the fish market? Have you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and gone to the fish?
Not yet. I really want to, but just not yet.
Yeah.
I really want to, but yeah.
And have you climbed Mount Fuji?
Not top of the Mount Fuji, but I went middle of the Mount Fuji. Yeah, I climbed a little bit.
You climbed a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good when you get to the top. I've done it.
Oh really?
I've climbed Mount Fuji 5
How was it?
times. Actually, I've climbed it with Sebastian Vettel. You mentioned him.
Really?
earlier. Yeah. Seb's been up there. It's good. It's cold.
Yeah.
And Vettel wanted to climb it at night so that we could see the sun come up
That's nice.
in the morning. It was amazing.
Yeah.
He's a man who's got good ideas.
I should. Yeah.
No, actually, while we're talking about other Formula One drivers, how do you get on with them? Does the sort of F2 guys from last year hang out? Do you hang out with Mick and Nikita, or how are the older guys with you? Have you got any friends yet?
Normal. Just say hello. I think. We don't speak much.
Do you have a relationship with Sebastian, for example, or?
Not much. I have more like Red Bull guys like Pierre, Max, Checo. Well, others like Carlos, maybe Lando. Yeah, we driven one time in Silverstone, twice like that. In Silverstone in Formula 3 in Carlin, Carlos and me and Lando.
That's when the McLaren guys went and just got a bit of practice in, didn't they? Go on, were you quicker than them? I think it was wet, wasn't it?
Wet or dry as well.
It was dry as well, was it?
Yeah, I think. Well,
don't be modest. Were you quicker?
Yeah, well, yes, but last session we were like always like mixing. So Lando was P1, and next session I was P1, and next session Carlos was P1. It was really mixing, always in 1/10, in 1/10. So it was really fun memories.
Must have been. Do you have any F1 heroes? Did you follow Formula One when you were younger? Did you have any posters on your bedroom wall?
No. Not at all. Not much. I don't have much hero. Yeah, when I was young, I think.
No Michael Schumacher or
Not much, I think.
even Lewis Hamilton?
Not much, I think. Well, Fernando a little bit. My dad really like Fernando Alonso.
What about the Japanese Formula One drivers? I mean, there have been 18 but Japanese Formula One drivers. Have you had any dealings with any of them? I mean, through the links with Honda, maybe Takuma Sato, for example?
I talked with Takuma Sato this year, January, I think, with Honda.
How did you find him? What was Taku like?
Takuma-san was like more, he shared a lot his experience in Formula One, and he gave me advice, and he was a really nice guy, and I think he supported me a lot for me. Please get a podium first in podium because we don't have much, we don't have any P1 in history, so if you get it P1, that would be great. He support a lot for me, and also Kamui Kobayashi also we chat a little bit about he's also shared experience, and he had given me advice. So in past I didn't know, I just know the Kamui Kobayashi and Takuma Sato for Formula One drivers in Japan. I didn't know others, to be honest.
So Aguri Suzuki, Satoru Nakajima, these.
Yeah, of course. Well, I knew recently, but I respect them a lot. So.
And there's a huge Honda link, isn't there, between you all? How sad are you that Honda are pulling out at the end of the year?
Well, it's really shame that, especially recent, it's like this year, Honda shows a lot improvement for engine, and think they develop engine quite really fast, and now the engine is really quick. So it's a shame that they pull out like this time, but I think they decide, and Japanese fans are more sad than me, I think. Japanese fans are really like Honda, especially like John Cena was driving a McLaren with a Honda engine. So, yeah, it's just shame. I can't say anything other than that, but just really shame, and yeah.
Will you retain links with Honda, even though they won't officially be in Formula One?
I think so. I don't know yet, but just I really like to still connect with Honda. That'll be great. Yeah, I don't know. I really always welcome with the Honda. So Honda grows me up, and until Formula One, So without Honda, I'm not here. So yeah, I have really big thanks for them. So yeah, I'm
Yuki,
always welcome.
The best present you could give Honda is a good result at Suzuka later in the year. Hey?
100%. Yeah.
It would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I remember Kamui getting on the podium
Suzuka, yeah.
in Suzuka, and just the atmosphere and people chanting. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
It would be so special, wouldn't it?
Hopefully, it would be like that, yeah.
But and what about your fame in Japan? You've made such an impact on Formula One, the Formula One fraternity, and in Europe. What about back home? How big a deal are you?
Well, definitely a little bit changed compared to when I was Formula 2. I got lots of message every day from Japanese fans, like, for example, like Monaco, good luck with the race or like that. So yeah, compared to when I was in Formula 2, a lot of not even close, like a lot of message gets from every Japanese fan every day. So
some crazy gifts?
Not yet. I think for a crazy gift, yeah, I don't have it yet, but I think hopefully I can get a crazy gift later on.
And what about the sort of TV presence? Are you going on talk shows on the telly, or is it big newspaper stories?
Well, I have a lot of interview with I have a couple of TV thing filming almost every race, and even without racing, when I'm in the between rest week, I have still interview from Japan. So yeah, I'm really happy to get like that kind of stuff from Japan.
Oh, Yuki, well, look, it's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you for your time. Last question from me is, apart from that mega result you're going to get at Suzuka, what are the goals for the rest of the year?
Get a point as much as possible and be top 10 in the driver championship.
Go for it. Best of luck for that.
Thank you.
What a lovely chat. Thank you, Yuki, for your time and for being so relaxed and candid. And let's hope you never lose that carefree honesty as your Formula One career develops. For me, one of the biggest take-home messages from that chat was his mental resilience. He doesn't pine for home while living in the UK. He can deal with difficult conversations with Helmut Marko. In fact, he doesn't get fazed by much. And while admitting that he's had to change his expectation levels since that wonderful start in Bahrain, he remains so bullish and still wants a top 10 finish in the Drivers' Championship. And then, of course, there's his passion for cooking, and Japanese food in particular. There's never a boring moment with Yuki, and Formula One is so much the richer for having him on the grid. Let's wish him a long and successful career. Thanks for your time, Yuki. It was great to catch up, and thanks to AlphaTauri for getting us together. Before we move on, as ever, please remember to send in any stories or chance meetings or thoughts that you have about Yuki. And remember, I'll read out the best ones next week. Send them to me at TomClarksonF1 or use the hashtag F1BeyondTheGrid. Which brings me on to what you sent in about Olivier Panis after last week's show. It's crazy to think he won the Monaco Grand Prix 25 years ago. And many of you seem to have remembered the race like it was yesterday. Darren Timms got in touch with this fabulous interview. I often wonder what Olivier could have achieved in 1997 had the accident in Montreal not occurred. The Toyota stuff was fascinating too, and I think Panis and Salo would have been a great combination in 2003. Well, I totally agree about 1997, Darren. Olive was on a roll before Montreal, wasn't he? And I think he could have won a race later that year with a little bit of luck on his side. Anyway, we will never know. And Master had this to say. I always considered Panis a very underrated driver. His 1997 season before the accident will always be one of my favourite what-if stories. But I feel his biggest contribution to Formula One was his revaluation of the third driver status thanks to his experience with McLaren. Yes, Master, yes! And the guys like Alex Wirtz, Pedro de la Rosa, Anthony Davidson and Alec McNish owe Olivier many favours because they all benefited massively from the market he created at McLaren. And a guy called George had this to say. Bravo, the best Beyond the Grid episode of 2021 so far. The headline is about 1996 Monaco, but the episode came alive when talking about Olivier's plans for 2000, testing for McLaren and racing for BAR and Toyota. Much respect for sticking to his word with Ron Dennis and his wife. And George, there was the whole Williams saga as well, wasn't there? He was offered the 2000 drive by Frank Williams. This period of Olivier's career was a real sliding doors moment, wasn't it? Thanks for sending in your messages. We got loads, and I'm sorry I couldn't read them all out, but please remember that I read each and every one of them. Well, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Yuki, and remember to send in your thoughts and stories, and I'll be back next week with another great guest from the world of Formula One. So see you then. Beyond the Grid is produced by F1 in association with Audio Boom. Until next time, keep it flat out.